Welcome back to the Motorhome Man podcast. I'm Keith Gooden, and with me, as usual, our resident expert, the man himself. It's Motorhome Matt Sims.
Hey Keith, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks very much. And again, you catch me at the top of my game. Excitement. It's almost the top of this baldy head is nearly a volcano because I've got my motorhome and I want to fill it full of the essential stuff. And I suppose I'm tempted by the non-essential stuff. And that's what we're talking about today, isn't it?
That you go into any camping accessory shop and there are thousands of things to tempt you. Products for sale, stuff you need, stuff you don't need. Or you thought you needed, and you probably never get it out of the box. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk through and walk through all of those products that I think are essential for your campervan, caravan, or motorhome.
And there's quite a few of them, so let's get started.
Let's get started. So one of the first things you need, you arrive at the campsite and it's not quite flat. Perhaps it is perfectly level. Now a motorhome sits nose down, but the nature of the chassis, the front is lower than the back. So we have a product called leveling ramps, and these are little ramps you drive on to keep them level. So these are a brand called Froley. There's lots of brands out there. Fiamma is another famous brand. They're grey. These are black. What's great about these leveling ramps is they're tiered. So you can't see them if you're listening to this, but they're here in front of me now. And they've got 3 levels, which make them very easy to drive on if you're on your own. If someone's with you, then they can tell you when to stop because you don't want to be driving off the front edge. The great thing about this is it will get the motorhome or campervan level, which will mean a few things. Firstly, you'll sleep better because we love sleeping on the flat. Your sinks and shower are going to drain properly. And most importantly, you won't lose your G&T across the table. This set of ramps, comes with a bag, which is really good too. So the ramps are going to get muddy, they're going to get wet, and then when you finish them, put them in the bag, and then when you put them away, they won't cover everything in your garage or storage area in the mud that's on them.
And that's something I suppose you don't initially think about unless you're experienced motorhome holiday. Is it going to be level? And I suppose the engine at the front weighs it down, does it? Is that what happens?
The nature of the chassis, so they just naturally sit down at the front. And you'll see on most campsites, motorhomes and campervans have got ramps under the front wheels. But of course, someone said to me once, well, why have I only got 2? Because you buy them in pairs. Don't I need 4? And I said, well, no, because then you'll start where you finished. No, because then you'll finish where you started. You'll end up in the same position. So you generally just need 2. Often you only need 1 just under a corner or on the side or the front or the back, depending on how you're parked.
And I suppose the obvious question is how do I know it's not level? Take a spirit level as well.
That's another item. Quite right too. So there's a number of types. You can buy something like this. You can buy these online, B&Q, we sell them as well. Or these little triangular ones are specific to a motorhome caravan. They can be screwed to the dashboard or a little worktop, and they've got a spirit level going in 2 directions.
That one there, you say it's specific to a motorhome. I use that on my record player at home to level it. I didn't know that.
There we are. Well, maybe they're not specific to a motorhome. They're very useful in a motorhome or caravan, and we've got one in ours, dead useful. The other ramp to think about, here's one I prepared earlier. So this one is a kind of, is that a U shape? So this is specific to a caravan.
It looks like a mudguard, doesn't it?
It does look like a mudguard. So you drive the caravan onto this, and it will roll flat as the caravan drives onto it. Reversing or driving a caravan on these motorhome ramps would be impossible. These are designed to level up a caravan wheel, and you would only buy 1 of these because obviously you can level off the caravan with the corner steadies. Okay, we'll come to some caravan specifics in a minute.
So my motorhome and caravan is level. You've shown me some good products. What should I be thinking about next, Matt?
So you're going to connect it to the main. So you're on a campsite where there's electric hookup available. So this is where you're going to give the power, electricity power, to the caravan or motorhome. So there's a specific cable you should use. Now, orange is typical of the colour of these cables, so they're more visible so you don't trip over them. That's why they're this colour. And they've got these little blue plugs on the end which are waterproof. So one end goes into the campsite, the other one goes into the cable, into the leisure vehicle. We call it a hookup cable, and they're usually in 2 lengths, either 10 metres or 25 metres. And I favour the longer one because sod's law is you park and the point you need to plug into is 11 metres away and then you're stuffed. So 25 metres is long. You can buy reels to put them on. They're very sensible. They keep the cable tidy, but unwind them when you use them. If you remember going back to school, there's a thing in physics called eddy currents. Do you remember those? So that means the cable in this position, coiled up, is going to get hot and it will melt. And every year there is a fire on a campsite where a cable has been coiled like this, and someone's put the kettle on, they got the heating on, and the cable catches fire. So really important, you unwind the cable, and I always say just throw it under the vehicle and plug it in, and then it can't get hot and catch fire. There's some adapters that you might want to consider as well. This one is particularly useful if you're going to plug the motorhome in at home, or the caravan at home on the drive. Means you can plug it into the house. So wind this cable through the window or into the garage, and you can plug it in at home.
Because it's got a standard 3-pin plug on it, as well as the big blue plug that you showed us earlier, which looks like a sort of a continental plug, but much bigger, much meatier, with much bigger prongs on it.
Correct. Yeah. That's right. It's a 16 amp plug. So, and waterproof. That's key. There's a flap on the end, covering the end. And then this one is a European adapter. So if you're going on holiday to France, some of the older campsites have these 2-pin. They're called Schuko plugs, and it's the old-fashioned European, or the European socket, and they're still sometimes used on campsites, believe it or not, rather than the blue plug. So this is a handy adapter, and you'll see these 2-pin plugs everywhere in hotels and houses all over the continent.
And the thing is, of course, if you've got these little bits and pieces, you're not going to get caught out. The last thing you want is to turn up to your campsite and not be able to hook up properly, or do some maintenance at home just for the sake of a few quid on a connector.
Yeah, that's right. And by plugging in at home means you can keep the batteries charged up as well while it's on the drive. The other thing to think about, some hookup cables come with a carry bag, like this one. This is a grey one, and so this is an accessory you can buy as well. Carry bag's useful because obviously the cable's been led in the grass. It may have rained, so it's wet. It could be muddy. So putting it in a bag means it keeps it clean and dirt off of everything else in the caravan when you put it away.
Fabulous. And don't be tempted, by the way, just to buy the plugs and stick some standard mains cable between the two of them, because this stuff here is much thicker and can carry much higher current.
It is. It's rated to 15 amp.
So we've dealt with the fire, the electricity. Now it's time to move to another elemental, water. It's a bit like one of your parties. Water everywhere, but not a drop to drink.
That's definitely not true. If you've been to one of my parties, sadly true. So water, filling up the water in your motorhome or caravan is going to need a hose. So this is an example of a food grade hose. So this is blue. You could use your garden hose. Lots of people do. The problem with that is it has a Hessian lining and bacteria can form and grow on it. Not a good mix when you're going to drink it. So food grade hose is smooth on the inside, and which means it prevents bacteria from forming inside the hose. You imagine it's sat in the garden for months or years on end. You then throw water through it and you're going to drink it. Not clever. So buy a food grade hose. This is a short fill up hose, and you can buy lengths of it in meters normally. Another handy accessory is this water filler cap, which actually has a hose lock adapter on it. So you could run your hose to the motorhome or caravan and pop the hose on it and walk away. Often the pressure of the water going into the tank pushes the hose out onto the floor. You come back 10 minutes later, the motorhome's still empty and your driveway's clean because there's water everywhere. This stops that happening. Really good little accessory. And then there's some chemical to think about that goes with the fresh water. Really important at the start of the season and regularly through it as well. You treat the water system. There's lots of chemical available on the market. This is a product from Elsan. It's Fresh Tank Water Cleaner, or Fresh Tank Cleaner. Really important to treat the tank, keeping the water safe to drink. Not everybody drinks the water out of the leisure vehicle, but you can, and there's no reason why you can't if you've treated it. There's a company called PuraClean, which are little tablets you drop in the water tank. This is a liquid format, and it might be you have a flush on your toilet, and there's a pink chemical that goes in the header tank. That means you're putting a cleaning chemical around the toilet. And there's some more chemical we'll come to. We'll do that in a second.
Well, we've broached that subject again, Matt. Toilets.
Always do.
We always do. It always comes back to our bottoms. So what should we talk about? What can I buy for the motorhome or caravan or the campervan, which makes my life a little bit easier?
Well, toilet roll. Believe it or not, there's specialist toilet roll for a motorhome caravan toilet. And people say, why do I need that? This is made by a company called Thetford who make the chemical. And this toilet roll dissolves really fast. Okay,
faster than the stuff at home.
Faster than the stuff at home. So you can use 2-ply Tesco own brand, Asda own brand toilet paper. No reason why not really, but not everybody wants to. This stuff has the sort of softness of a 3-ply toilet roll and dissolves very quickly. And the idea is in the toilet cassette, you put some chemical, this stuff, So this is blue. There's a green version of this, which is really important. You use the green version if you're going to France or you're going on campsites that use a cesspit. If you're going on a campsite that uses a cesspit, there's no main sewerage, that you use the green version of this chemical rather than the blue. So the blue, you pour a little splash in the toilet cassette and that will dissolve poo, wee and toilet paper into water. And this stuff dissolves really fast. Sticking with toilets, we've got a bathroom cleaner here. Really important, you don't use bleach in your bathroom, okay? Bleach is going to stain the plastic. The plastic in the bathrooms of motorhomes and caravans is very susceptible to being stained by bleach. This is bleach-free, and it's a Thetford design product. Thetford make the toilets in the leisure vehicles. They also do a spray, a seal lubricant for the toilet cassette. And talking about toilet cassettes, this is a freshen up kit. Right, what's fresh?
How did you do that?
So, in front of me now is a great big box with a toilet cassette in it. It's a brand new toilet cassette and it has a brand new toilet lid and some chemical. So this is actually a cheaper way of buying a new cassette. If you buy a cassette on its own, it's nearly half as much again as buying the whole kit. I don't understand why, it seems daft to me. But you need to know which toilet cassette model you've got in your motorhome and campervan. And if you've bought a second-hand one, someone else has been to the loo in it, haven't they? This is a great way of making the toilet fresh, hence the name, a fresh up kit. So you get a new toilet seat, new cassette, and some chemical to go with it.
As it says on the box, a new toilet in 2 steps.
We are.
Actually, thinking about it, I don't think I'd want to go somewhere where somebody else has been particularly, if I didn't know them.
Well, you're probably not going to know them. So this is a great solution to giving yourself a new toilet cassette and that toilet fresh feel.
We're like the gods on Mount Olympus. You're Zeus and I'm Thor.
Thor?
Where's my hammer?
Spitting image you are.
Okay then. What's that you've got in front of you?
So this is a little sticker. So one of the rules of motorhome, caravan, campervan is because it carries gas, assuming yours does, you have to have an LPG sticker on the gas cupboard or on the rear of the vehicle if it's a campervan, which is normally where the gas is. So somewhere close to the gas bottle, you need to display one of these. So if you've bought a second-hand vehicle, this might be really faded, it may have been taken off. You need to buy one of these if it hasn't got it. Really important.
It's the law.
It's the law. The other thing is gas. Now, we haven't got a gas bottle here, but you need to put gas on the vehicle so your cooker, oven, grill, fridge can all run when you're off-grid. And sometimes these appliances will only run on gas. Now, there is currently in the UK a real shortage of Cala gas. There's lots of types of makes of bottles of gas. So sourcing a bottle of gas might be a challenge, but it's something. There's a whole load of information on our website. We'll put a link in the bio to this podcast on where you can find that, on the type of gas you want in your campervan or motorhome caravan and where you can get it.
So if you've got the empty bottle, you're okay, are you?
You're okay. If you haven't got an empty bottle, then you need to go and buy one. So historically, Cala, if you're buying a Cala bottle, would issue you with an empty bottle in exchange for 40 quid, and you'd start a new bottle contract. Cala have currently stopped issuing empty bottles. There's a whole podcast here, Keith, to be honest. So you need to go and find an empty bottle, and you can buy them on eBay, Gumtree, Facebook Marketplace. As a business, we've been buying them up wherever we can find them, so we can sell them to customers so they can have a full bottle of gas in exchange. Another alternative is you buy a refillable gas system. There's lots of alternatives out there and lots of options, and you take it to a fuel station which sells gas, and you can refill it yourself.
Okay, what's next?
We got this little gas lighter. These are really important. If you do, if your hob won't light with its little sparker, some of them don't have them. You need a little gas lighter. My advice is don't use a match. That sulfur smell will linger in the soft furnishings and fabrics of the inside for a long time. So I advise don't use a match. Use one of these.
Okay, we're wandering through our elemental list of things for our motorhome and caravan or campervan. Let's go back to fire, shall we? So, Matt, what have we got now?
Yeah, so safety stuff, really important. So the obvious is a smoke alarm and carbon monoxide detector, going to keep you safe. Really important you fit those. Most new motorhomes and caravans come with them. It's a requirement that they're sold in the UK with them. Not all of them do, and of course a second-hand one might be without, but that could save your life if something went wrong. A fire blanket is a really good idea. You may not want to screw it into the wall inside, but having it accessible away from the grill so that you can reach it rather than above the grill. A number of fire blankets I see in a cupboard above the grill, which is a ridiculous place to put it. The grill's caught fire and you've got to lean, or the hob's caught fire and you've got to lean above to get the fire blanket. Not clever. First aid kit, that's a given, of course. A really sensible addition. And a fire extinguisher. Mounting this somewhere where it's easily reached in a hurry, but at the same time out of the way of kids. You don't want them grabbing it and playing with it. That could end badly for them. So having it somewhere accessible and you know where it is and everyone that's away with you knows where it's kept. On the subject of safety, high-vis vest, really good idea. If you're going to Europe, which is a whole different podcast, which we'll do another time, there's a whole list of what you need to pack and take with you to travel to the continent, particularly now that we're out of Europe. So the rules have changed, but we'll come back to that. But I think high-vis vests are a really good idea. Whether you're in any car or any vehicle traveling, keep them in the boot. On the continent, the rules are everybody that can walk needs to wear a high-vis vest if you break down on the side of the road. So you need to have one per walking person.
And they're also very handy on the campsite, aren't they? When people are arriving and reversing, and
they are.
You can be seen easily, can't you?
The other place they're really good idea is if you park in a truck car park in the motorway services. You've taken that wrong turn and missed the Caravan motorhome car park, and you've ended up in the lorry park. Donning these as you walk around will really help the lorry drivers see you who are up high, particularly if it's at night.
Yeah, absolutely, because their visibility sometimes can be quite seriously compromised.
Indeed, yeah. And then whilst we're on the subject of night, a torch is a really good idea, really essential on a campsite. Wherever you stop, a torch is a really good addition to have. These LED ones are amazing. They're really good, really bright.
They're fantastic, and the kids love them as well, don't they?
Great fun for the kids, yeah. And talking of lights, headlight beam converters. If you are heading to the continent, you're going to need to set these. There's instructions in the packets of how to fit them. I guarantee the first time you do it, you'll do it wrong. But on a motorhome or in your car, if you're towing a caravan, you're going to need to fit these to be legal on the continent.
And the reason for that is next time you're out in the dark in your car, just look and see the spread of the beam from your headlights. It does spread more onto the pavement quite purposely, so you can see pedestrians. What these do is they take account of the fact you're driving on the other side of the road.
Yeah.
And so the wrong side. Yeah. The other side.
So safety-wise, again, on the continent, if you've got a bike rack on the back of your vehicle, whether it's a motorhome or a caravan, you need to display one of these. This is a red and white striped box, square. There's two types. This one is flexible and is valid all over Europe, and it is a requirement. There's a different type made of aluminium for certain countries, Switzerland particularly. So do your research on what you need to take and listen to our podcast on going to Europe in a leisure vehicle to make sure you've got that right. A warning triangle is a really sensible addition, whatever you're in. On the continent, it's a requirement. Over here, it's an advisory item. I would make sure you've got one in the boot of your car or in the back of the motorhome, just in case.
And we must keep in mind as well that the design of these products, they tick the box for the laws in the different countries. You can't just make a warning triangle after three bits of your old fence. It's got to be a certain size, it's got to be a certain thickness, reflectivity. These are laws on the continent, and they will pull you up. And
they're inexpensive. It's not worth cutting the corner and bodging it, just to save a few pennies.
I tell you what, man, this is a long list of stuff we're getting through today. I'm running out of puff. I am running out of puff.
We're nearly there.
I'm running out of puff. What the hell is that, Matt?
This is something you'll find in a Fiat Ducato, pretty standard item. It's a tyre inflator kit. Okay, so this is the Fiat version. Ford have a slightly different version. They're a really good idea. Now, you'll find that most motorhomes don't carry a spare wheel to save weight, and often caravans don't have a spare wheel underneath as well. Even if you do, this is a great addition. It doesn't weigh very much, and they're inexpensive to buy if your motorhome hasn't come with them. They're often stowed and hidden. In a Fiat Ducato, they're under the driver's seat. They could be hidden under the passenger seat, or maybe it's been removed from the vehicle completely. I'd recommend it. It basically has a gel in it. I'll take it out of the bag, so if you're watching on YouTube, you can see there are two tubes. One carries gel that goes into the tyre and would seal the hole, assuming you've got a small puncture, and then the other is air, and this is a compressor, and it will re-inflate the tyre. It's a great way to get you out of jail, as it were, and get you off the motorway to a tyre place. I would recommend getting a new tyre or getting the tyre repaired if it can be, if you've suffered a puncture, but it's a great way of having a quick fix without taking the wheel off and having to replace the tyre.
And most of us who have experienced punctures punctures in cars, and not just in motorhomes. It's the slow puncture that gets you. It's the one you come back to the next morning and the tyre's gone down,
Yeah.
so then you have to do the repair. Or you need to get 25 or 30 miles just to get somewhere to get the wheel changed, and that will do it for you.
This could save the day for you, yeah.
Yeah, 2 tubes for YouTube.
Keith's dad humour again.
Okay, man, I'm an old-fashioned kind of guy. Forget these motorhomes. Caravanning is where it's at, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. For many it is, yeah. And there are a different set of accessories. It's very specific to caravanning, and these are a few of them here in front of me now. So we've got a hitch cover. This is a bag, basically, that goes over the caravan hitch, which you put on the tow bar of the car, and this will stop water ingress getting into the hitch and frost damage as well. And it means you can cover it up. Really good idea. We've then got the Caravan corner steady winder. Now, most caravans will have one of these with them.
I wonder what you're going to do with that, I must admit.
If you're a good boy, nothing. So this, you wind the Caravan corner steadies down. Now, some motorhomes have corner steadies, particularly at the back. We wind them down, it stops the van rocking, which might be useful for you. But caravans have them in each corner to stop it tipping up, obviously.
If this van is rocking, don't come knocking.
You had to deliver that,
I
didn't you?
did.
Deluxe towing mirrors. These are essential. They're a legal requirement. So if you're towing a caravan, you have to have towing mirrors fixed to the car.
So they sort of extend your mirrors on your car that you've got already, don't they?
Exactly. Yeah, they give you an extra pair of mirrors that stick out so you can see past the caravan. The police and VOSA will stop you if they're on the lookout for cars towing caravans that haven't got towing mirrors, and it is a chargeable offence. So really important you get the right set of towing mirrors fitted. There are loads of different types based on the size of mirror, from a small kind of family car to a van that's towing a caravan. So make sure you get the right type of towing mirror. Lots to choose from. Lots out there.
And it's about safety, isn't it?
It is about safety, yeah. Now, when you're lowering those corner steadies, they usually have a little foot on, which you can buy as well, which we haven't got here today. But these are foot stackers. So sometimes the ground runs away, and often on a campsite where they're pitching caravans, the sites aren't flat because you can level a caravan up much more easily than you can a motorhome. But sometimes the corner steadies don't reach the ground. And these things stack up one on top of the other, which enable you to help them reach the ground, and they're called foot stackers. Really useful. And the next thing, which is going to magically appear, this is an aqua roll. So thank you, Maddie. That's brilliant. So if you're watching on YouTube, a big blue box has just risen up in front of me, which contains a water carrier. So for a caravanner, this is an essential. This is where the water goes, and you roll it to and from the tap, full of your fresh water, which is what you're going to drink.
I spied this when you were bringing the stuff in and stacking it in the corner, and this is the one that I like the best because it's a barrel, isn't it, with a handle attached at both ends, handle attachment. And when you fill it, the barrel itself becomes a wheel, and you can push and pull it. What a fantastic idea. What a great idea.
They're decades old as an idea goes, and there are many things in the human existence that are genius, and this is one of them. It's a really easy way of getting fresh water to your caravan, and then you tip it on its side, stops it rolling away, and you drop your pump into it, and it pumps the water into the caravan. There is another accessory that goes with this called a Wastemaster, and that's like a long flat thing with wheels on the end, and that's where your wastewater goes, and then you can drag that away and tip that down a drain, a freshwater drain.
Makes it easier to transport. And they said Matt Sims couldn't reinvent the wheel.
I can help you accessorise your caravan and motorhome there. That's easy.
We're having a merry jaunt through the elemental accessories you can get for your motorhome, your caravan or your campervan. We're back with fire in the kitchen. Matt Sims is Gordon Ramsay, and I'm Anthony Worrell-Thompson. What have we got?
Okay, so I've got a kettle and a toaster. Why do you think I've got those at home? This is a gas kettle. So this is the old-fashioned type that whistles. So if you've got a gas hob, which most motorhomes and caravans have got, then you need a gas kettle. And these are a great idea. They whistle. This one's a lovely copper colour. So there's a whole range of colours of kettle you can buy. And the same with toasters. So why would you buy a toaster specific to your...
I can get a toaster anywhere.
Exactly.
15 quid.
You could, and these are probably going to cost you a little bit more than that. This one is a fetching powder blue. However, these are low powered. Okay, so on a campsite, it's very easy to trip the electrics on your leisure vehicle. So by having a low powered toaster, and the same with a kettle actually, you'll find that camp shops sell electric kettles, and they are low power. So they do take longer to boil, but they are far less likely to trip the electrics than the one you buy in Asda, for example.
Yeah, because they're the home accessories that draw the most current, aren't they?
That's right.
From your house when you put them on. And I suppose when you're running batteries, if you're not plugged in, you can use these, can't you?
You can, yeah, that's right. And if you're running the heating on electric and then you go and flick the kettle on, it's very likely you'll trip the electrics off. That's not going to happen at home. In a caravan or motorhome, that's highly likely to happen, which is why these appliances are low powered. There's also some great innovations with pop-up colanders, pop-up washing up bowls, and I'm here. This is a great little colander. Love this. It pops up into a very, very usable colander for the kitchen.
So you can store it flat, or it pops out into a colander. I do like that one.
There's several types. This one's a square one. Look at that. These are brilliant.
Yeah. Great design got into this.
It's really innovative, yeah. If you're listening, it's hard. You can't see what we're doing.
But this square colander is now just folded flat. And
completely
of course,
flat.
If you're in a caravan or a motorhome, space is the one thing that's at a premium.
It is, yeah, and you want to be able to store them away. This one's a washing up bowl. It's how tall is that? 1.5 inches high?
That's never a washing up bowl.
It is. Watch this.
It's circular, as you say, 1.5 inches high.
This one's
that is amazing. It turns into a bucket.
This one's actually a bucket with a handle.
Yeah.
Here we go. Look at that.
That's fantastic.
And then they're made of silicone and they just fold flat. Push the bottom up. Oh, it's brand new, so it's a bit stiff. There we go. It folds.
So the address to the bishop.
We might have to edit this.
Can you manage that all right there, Matt? Is that okay? Yeah, you're happening?
No.
What a great invention that is, Matt. And you've managed to actually erect it and also take it down in just a few seconds. It's fantastic.
Folds flat. That's nearly flat. It takes a bit of coercing. This one's a washing up bowl. So there's a rectangular washing up bowl, really handy if you're heading off to go and get the washing up done. You don't want to do it in the caravan or motorhome and use up the fresh water that's on board. So you head off to the sink and you've got a pop-up bowl.
And again, it folds flat. We're sort of still in the kitchen, but actually we're taking the meal out towards the table. And, I'd probably into the supermarket if I had my motorhome, my caravan. I'd just buy some plastic plates. But you say that is not the thing to do. We should go for something more specialist. Melamine ware.
Melamine, yeah.
Melamine ware. What's the difference?
So the big thing is the weight and the durability. So this is a Brunner box of melamine, which is a premier brand of melamine plates and bowls. They're anti-slip, so they have a rubber ring on the bottom, which means they don't slide around on the table, which are very, very useful. And they're very strong, so they're very hard to break, whereas bone china is going to break very easily. The other big annoyance when you're travelling, particularly in a motorhome, is the noise that you hear when you're travelling along the road, and everything's rattling and clattering in the back, and melamine just generally doesn't make any noise. A top tip, if you ever you're in Asda and you're in the fruit and veg section and you see somebody helping themselves to the little squares of bubble wrap that's been pre-cut wrapping around the apples and the melons, go and ask them what motorhome have they got, because I guarantee they're slotting that bubble wrap in between their china plates when they're travelling.
Good tip, that one. I noticed from the pictures on the box that this is good for your freezer, but don't put it in the microwave.
Yeah. And
it's good for the dishwasher as well, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So you need to check on the bottom of a plate or bowl whether it can go in the microwave. Not all melamine can be microwaved.
But the great thing about it, it's got these nice little silicone feet on the bottom, so it doesn't slip around as well.
That's right. There's like a rubber ring on the bottom which stops it moving, which is say anti-slip.
Is that a glass of wine you've got for me?
Sadly, it's empty, so it's not very good.
And there's only one of them.
There is. So there's a whole range of acrylic glassware, which is not glass, that you can buy, and it is not cheap. This particular red wine glass is $7.99 in our shop, but it says on the packet they're unbreakable. We've actually dropped one of these from 13 feet in the air onto tarmac, and it didn't even mark it. They are incredibly strong and very durable, and they don't rattle and clank like glass would in a cupboard. And if they, if glass broke in a cupboard, that's going to be dangerous when you put your hand up and in to grab a plate.
I was on the school run just the other day, Matt, and somebody pranged my wing mirror. It cost me £30 for the new piece of plastic to clip on the outside, another £12 for the mirror. This is just for a normal car, not a motorhome. It must cost a lot more for a motorhome.
Yeah.
And they stick out a lot further. It's a lot wider, isn't it?
They are indeed, yeah. I mean, they're nearly 2.4 metres wide with the mirror sticking out. So from Fiat, a Fiat wing mirror can be hundreds of pounds to replace. These are brilliant. These are called mirror guards, and you can buy them in different colours. So this is a white one, obviously. So it's a cover that you slip over the mirror. This particular one, there's different types, has some padding inside of it, and it creates a gap between the cover and the mirror, which gives it some impact protection. So the cover can move on the wing mirror. There are some which clip on tightly and snugly to the mirror. They're much cheaper. They're more aesthetic and turn the mirrors white or black. And a gloss finish. They don't really offer any real protection. These are worth spending. They're 2 or 3 times the cost, but they are much better at protecting the mirror. If you hit a tree or scrub the hedgerows if you're in a narrow road,
or just some oncoming traffic,
and they're not going to necessarily protect the mirror entirely from damage, but they certainly go a long way to protect it.
And it's a lot cheaper, isn't it, than replacing a wing mirror, replacing one of these?
It certainly is, definitely, yeah. Even a cracked wing mirror is just annoying as well, isn't it? And then lastly, we were talking about going to Europe. You said you're off to France later this year.
Yep.
The rules have changed. So remember, on the back of your vehicle, whatever it is, you're going to need to have a UK sticker. The GB sticker on the back of the vehicle or on the number plate is no longer going to cut it on the continent. You need to replace them with a UK sticker.
Because you're from the United Kingdom.
We are, which UK, of course, includes Northern Ireland.
It is Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
Absolutely.
Isn't it? Yeah, and Northern Ireland, we've got the deal in Brexit, haven't we, between Southern Ireland and Northern Ireland. It's part of the single market.
That's
so
right.
we need the UK sticker because we're from the United Kingdom.
If you want a GB sticker, I've got a big box of them, perfect for the Queen's Jubilee. We can't really sell them anymore, so I'm not sure what we're going to do with those.
I've got a couple in the back of the car which I need to replace. And Matt, there's always one final ingredient you have got to add. You can have all these bits and pieces and doobries and doolallies and all the rest of it, but what about the sense of adventure?
Absolutely, every time. You need to make sure you pack that. Let's see where the open road takes you. And just get out there, enjoy the countryside, whether it's this country or in another country. But get out, get organised, get well packed, and get on your way and have make some fantastic memories.
Have a great time, and tune in again for another Motorhome Matt podcast with our expert Matt Sims and me, Keith Gooden.
And remember, if you're on YouTube, hit subscribe, hit the bell so the gods of YouTube can tell you when we've launched a new video. And follow me on Instagram, motorhomematt.co.uk.
Ding ding.